Okay, Year 8, the next lesson, areas of composite shapes. Well, first of all, what's a composite shape? Composite shape is a shape that is made up of two or more other shapes. Is made up of two or more other shapes. And because we've only done rectangles and triangles and squares, we're pretty limited in the shapes that they're going to give us here. Now, there are two methods for doing these. So I'm going to have a go at 6b. I'm going to show you the two methods. And you can decide which method you want to do. Usually one method lends itself to the other. And you can see here, they've even discussed it. You can do adding or subtracting. So I'm going to do 6b two ways. So I'm just going to draw the shape. That was a bit bad. Get rid of that. And I know that that and that are equal. And I know that is 9. That is 5. And that is 3. Okay. So I also therefore know that is 3. Therefore this is 5 plus 3. So this distance is 5 plus 3, which equals 8. And this distance is 9 minus 3. So that equals 6. Not that we need all those. Not that we need all those, but we'll see what we do need. So first of all, find the area by adding. Well, that means I need to make this shape into other shapes. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a line across there. So what I've got here is a little square, and I've got a rectangle. And the area, so I write area equals, and I like to do this, my rectangle plus my square. And my rectangle is BH, and my square is BH, and I'm going to add them. Now my rectangle is 9, 9, and 5. So 9 times 5. And my square is 3 by 3. And I do that on my calculator. 9 times 5 plus 3 times 3. 54. 54. What units have I got? Meters squares. Now, area by subtraction. This time, and again I've messed that up. Now remember, that's 9, that's 5, that's 8. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, I'm going to find the area of the whole thing and minus this little bit. So area equals the big rectangle minus the little rectangle. Now, because I'm going to subtract the whole away, this big rectangle, base times height, and this little rectangle, base times height. Well, the big rectangle is 9 times 8. What about this little rectangle? Well, that's 3 and that's 6. So minus 6 times 3. I do that on my calculator. (54). And the units is meters squared. And as you can see, two answers, exactly the same, achieved, one by adding, one by subtracting. Excuse me. Now, I would have found that the adding method there would have been the easier method to do. I tend to prefer adding if I can. Over here, though, there are some that are easier by doing subtraction, and you have to make up your mind. So here, I'd probably add the rectangle and add the triangle. I've done that one. Here, I'd probably, rather than find two triangles, and it's really hard because you don't know the base of this one, or breaking up, I'd rather find the square and minus the rectangle. You have a go at that. Here, I'd probably find the rectangle and minus these two triangles. I'm going to let you decide how to do the last two. I'm going to do D, and I'll do F. You see if you can go and have a go at them. So D. So how was I going to do that? Well, the area equals the big rectangle minus 2 of the triangles. So the big rectangle, 16 by 7. Okay. Base height minus 2 times a half base height. I like to write the formulas in. And what did I say? 16 times 7 minus 2 times a half. Because both these triangles are the same, let's have a closer look and make sure they are. And this tells us that that's 3, and that's the other side of the rectangle, so that's 7. So the base is 3 and the perpendicular height is 7. They really should have had a little 90 degree in there. They didn't, but it's okay. So a half of 3 times 7. And again, straight to my calculator. So 16 times 7 minus a half times 2 times a half times 3 times 7 . 91. 91. What units are we in? Centimetres. Centimetre squares. And that was D. And we're right. The last one, I want you to have a go at first, but I'm going to do 9F. Okay, so you go away and do it. Now, if you've come back and you want to see if you're right, what have I got? Well, my area equals, there's a little square down the bottom, down here. And then I've got a triangle. And then I've got a big, is it a square or a rectangle? It's another big square. And I like to do it that way because it helps me visualize what I'm doing. So, first of all, the little square, base times height. Little base times height. Triangle's a half base times height. And the big square, big base times big height. Just use different letters there, doesn't matter. So the little square, well, that's 4 by 4. That's easy. 4 times 4. I'm going to leave a bit of space for the triangle because I'm going straight to the big square. And the big square is 6 by 6. Now, what have I got? This triangle in here. Well, there's the height and there's the base, or the base of the height, doesn't matter. And that's going to be 6 and that's going to be 4. So half of 6 times 4. And they're all added together. So 4 times 4 plus, a half times 6 times 4 plus 6 times 6, 64. And what units are we in? Millimetres. All right. So that's fine in the area of composite shapes. However, they ask you to do some other ones, which are questions 11 and 9, 10, 11 and 12. Okay, so I want you to have a go at them. I'm going to do question 9, and I'll do one. So I'll do one of each. So 9A. So here's a square, and it's got these two lengths here. Because they're the same, and the area is 36. Well, I know that x times x equals 36. So that's x squared equals 36. And we've just finished Pythagoras, so we know how to undo squaring. We just square root. Square root of 36. Go to my calculator, and it's 6. So the side length of a square that has an area of 36 is 6. Well, what about 10? Find the perimeter of a square. Find the perimeter of a square if it has an area. Well, let's do 10C. And I like to draw a diagram. I have to find the perimeter of this square. Right, I'll call it y times y this time. It doesn't matter what letters you call it. And its area is 49. So y times y is 49. Y squared equals 49. Y equals the square root of 49. And realise that there are two answers. There's a positive and negative answer. But we ignore the negative answer because you can't have a negative distance. So the side length of this square is 7. They said find the perimeter. Well, the perimeter is 7 plus 7 plus 7 plus 7. Or some people might like to write 4 times 7, which is 28. And what units were we in? Centimetres. Okay. You go and have a go at 11 and 12. I'm going to do 12 here. So 12. Oh no, I want to do 11 because it's a triangular one. So it's going to be a little bit harder for you. So you go and have a go at it. So again, draw it. And it has a base of 4 and an area of 20. Now I know you can do guess and check, but what we need to find is this height. And I don't know if that's an accurate drawing of this particular triangle, but I know that the area equals half the base times the height. So I've got 20 equals half times, well, the base is 4, and the height, I don't know. Well, a half of 4 is 2. So 2 times a number equals 20. Well, we should be able to do an equation. We should be able to divide by 2, and that'll give me 10. But if you did guess and check, I'm not as happy about that, but it'll get you there. So, and it's in centimetres. All right, that's enough. You should be able to have a go at the other ones on your own.